Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. Today we are going to talk about, for the first time perhaps, about India and India elections. 2019 it will be a watershed for people of India and for the country as a whole, because it is about Modi. It is about Prime Minister Modi and his party BJP and his allies, who have done a remarkable job in the country to stem the tide of corruption, to stem the tide of all the social evil that bedeviled India during the Congress rule. To discuss this, we have with us today Dr. Raj Bhayani, an ENT specialist, as well as facial plastic surgery specialist, surgeon as well. And he is remarkably active in community life. And I have a great pleasure in welcoming you, Dr. Bhayani.
Thank you.
And we will talk about all that. For the purpose of full disclosure, both of us happen to be Mr. Modi's supporters. So the question is, where is the counterpoint? Yes, we will talk about those points as well, as to why Mr. Modi must win, and what are the positives that the Mahagathbandhan is bringing, and if there is any positivity in Mahagathbandhan coming. Do the people of India need a change of leadership, or is the change being touted about for the sake of political gain? So let's talk about that, Dr. Bhayani.
Sure.
So the question here is, Mr. Modi had announced in 2014, and you and I were both supporting him in this studio on another program. And Mr. Modi made the announcement, judge me when I come back to you in 2019. Now, what he has done and achieved, I have with me a complete list of absolutely improbable accomplishments of the government. So let's talk about that. What do you think? Do you think that, as they say in democracy, people get the government they deserve? The question is, do the people of India deserve Modi round 2, or do they think that no, Modi is too tough or too harsh and we need a change, going back to the things the way they were?
Sure. Coming to the first question, how do Mr. Modi's government has performed, and do they deserve the second round? So I would say absolutely. There is a slight disappointment, I would say, slight may be a wrong word, that Mr. Modi had promised a lot in 2014, and it's a criticism by few people or naysayers. They say he did not deliver on all of his promises. So if we look at the other party promises over the last 70 years, they have delivered nothing. The Congress manifesto every 5 years has been the same, and it has not brought any change in people's life. So as we have to have some comparison about what Modi has achieved and what Congress government has achieved in their rule in 70 years, and Mr. Modi's government, what they have achieved in their 5 years term. So if we compare that, what has been achieved during Modi's government is unprecedented. And you have certain statistics with you. I didn't bring the statistics with me.
I will share
that.
But
yes, but we pretty much know what has been achieved.
I mean, you said something very, very interesting, is that Modi had made a lot of promises.
Correct.
So those were the promises that was pre-2014 election.
Correct.
And politics is a game in which you make a promise,
right,
and you make many promises. Not all promises will be completed within the given term.
That's correct.
We all know that. So if you pick on, he didn't do this or he didn't do that, it's perfectly fair game.
Yes.
But the question is, did he do anything good or not?
Yes.
And that's the important point to raise. And now I will give some statistics because I brought it along with me.
Sure.
So number of villages electrified. Number of villages that are unelectrified were 18,403 in 2014. Today it is, in 2017-18, it is 3,937. If you look at the new LPG connections,
right,
they went up dramatically.
Yes.
to virtually everybody.
Everybody.
Right? You don't hear about power shortage in India anymore, which was the endemic problem for production, efficiency and effectiveness of industry. Mobile banking from 94.7 million to 722.2 million. So I can give you many statistics, because road construction, for that matter, 81,095 kilometers. It is 2,505,404 kilometers. So in terms of pure delivering the economic need and infrastructural needs for the people, it has been phenomenal. But bigger important part is the hit on corruption that Mr. Modi did. The effect of GST and demonetization, although in the short run it produced pain,
yes,
but in the long run it has brought about certain clarity or sanctity in behavioral conduct. I cannot say, I will not vouch that corruption is entirely gone, but you can see that Chanda Kochar, celebrated ICICI Bank chairman, had to step down.
Yes.
There is an arrest warrant for Nirav Modi.
That's correct.
Vijay Mallya is rotting in England, and there are proceedings going on.
Yes.
The challenge actually is that you cannot hit corruption, because in a democratic system, criminals thrive on the inefficiencies of law. And that's, I think, has been the biggest achievement of Mr. Modi.
Yes, absolutely. Corruption at higher level has gone down significantly. Corruption at lower level, at the state level, district level is still going on, and it will trickle down. See, the society is led by leaders, and if leaders are ethical and moral and non-corrupt, then the people will follow. While the previous Congress government, there are scams after scams after by more the Sardarji,
Under
Manmohan Singh ji,
yes.
So this coal scam and 2G scams and whatnot scams, every scam was coming out, and then the moral of the society goes down, and everybody thinks it chalta hai, and this is the way of life. So that mindset has to change from the top to bottom, and the leader is very important in that role. And Modi's image as a Mr. Clean image, and look at his family and his brothers and his nephews working still simple jobs, which shows something that this is the kind of leader India needed since independence, and this is the first time in the history of India. I think Modi has come as the savior of India, I would say, that there is nothing close to Modi in the leadership qualities ever. I would say Jayaprakash Narayan was one, but somehow he was not a politician. Atal Bihari ji was a great leader, however, not a great politician. So you need both qualities. He has to be tough, he has to deliver, he has to be efficient. At the same time, he has to win the masses.
Right.
So Modi has been successful in all these regards. Some of the promises not delivered, that is not an excuse for not to vote for him, but what we need to focus on is what he has done so far. Apart from the statistics, generally I go by the different sectors. So if you know the toilet issue or Swachh Bharat Abhiyan.
Yes, absolutely.
Means I would say 80% of the population, they used to be having no toilet access, and then as Modi had one of the speeches, our women and mothers and sisters, and they had to go wait for the darkness to go for Shauchalaya, because there was no Shauchalayas around. How miserable that situation is, and now I'm sure you have one of the statistics, how many toilets have been built.
Yeah.
If you share that, that will be good. It's been crores of crores.
I don't know whether the toilet data I have with me or not, but I don't have sanitation coverage, of course.
Yes, it's almost 99%.
Is gone up dramatically, up to over 90%.
90%.
Right. So
it was only 10% before 2014,
correct.
And now it's 90% sanitation coverage in entire country.
Right.
Some of the bigger states like UP and all these states lagged behind in that, but this year they caught up. So that's one. And second one is finance as well as the economy.
Right.
The economy, the biggest problem was the logistic cost. If you see the infrastructure built up, what he's talking about, the infrastructure built up is important not only for the progress in the economy. How does economic progress? The logistic cost,
Right.
moving the goods from one place to another, ease of transit is as high as 14 to 20% in India. Well, it used to be.
Right.
But because now the new railway built up, where the goods and the bigger and nicer roads, the logistic cost of doing business has come down below 8%.
Correct. I mean, I remember a study that the truck per kilometer cost,
Yeah,
it used to be so high
so high.
that food transportation itself was a major cost
Yeah,
factor.
it adds up to the cost
That's the
tremendously.
cost part of it, and the delay.
And the rottage,
Wastage.
wastage, and this food will get, this vegetables will be standing on the highways
correct.
and get spoiled
Correct.
because it do not reach in time.
Right.
Plus the, as you said, delay and then fuel. If you're driving on a bad road, the fuels has to be, diesel engines will be emit so much pollution,
Right.
and as well as the so much fuels will be consumed because roads are bad. So all these small things are not even factored into the development which has been done.
No, for India, you're absolutely right from
Yeah.
what we are talking about and what he has done.
Right.
I would call Mr. Modi a renaissance man for India.
Yeah.
He has brought about a revolution and renaissance in both, in terms of raising the prestige of India,
Right.
as well as the functioning. He has combined the efficiency and effectiveness both in his policy and policy prescription as well.
That's
That was very important. The other thing is very important is that, you know, one thing, talking about corruption again, he has brought in probity in public life, and that performance matters.
Yes.
I mean, the way he has interacted with the people, he's even introducing performance yardsticks for bureaucrats now,
Yes.
which was totally unheard of.
Yeah.
So that renaissance activity that is going on, I think every Indian is proud of that. And for that reason alone, the steps that he is taking systematically, I am willing to forgive that if he promised 100 things and if he hasn't done 15 or 20 of them, it's all right. That happens. You can't be 100% perfect all the time, given that it is. But the important part here is that how he has changed the directional shift and the mood of the people. People are looking at, are proud as an Indian, proud that we are no longer corrupt. Even the Western media and Western leadership is acknowledging that reality. That is, it's no longer corruption at the government in the highest levels, which people like us have seen operate. Because in my life, I remember when the power sector was liberalized and public-private participation was introduced. I can tell you one thing. There was no names mentioned here, but to achieve the approval, you were asked to pay 3% to get your approval. I personally argued with a bureaucrat that, do you understand the cost of 3% that you're asking upfront? Because you don't have concept of money at all. But
And
if
that
you
was-
are not
that
there
was
tomorrow,
under the table actually.
Yes.
3% under the table.
3%
Not even
on the
official
not
going
even
to the
official.
government taxes.
Yes. So the question here is, what was the outcome of that? We walked out of the project because we wouldn't bribe somebody to get the job done. But that's important part, that today the amount of information, approvals, passport renewal, tax payments, they have gone online.
Even the railway reservation.
Railway reservation, I mean, it is
One
amazing.
more important factor is the inflation in India has came down.
Came down.
The one of the reason, of course, that is that the real estate, if you see, and I personally benefited from this rule, RERA Act, what we call,
Yeah.
Real Estate Reform Act.
Right.
So the builders in big cities, they would take the money and they won't complete the project and they would not deliver the building or your flat, what do you buy? So now one of the big builder in Bombay, and he had promised us he's going to deliver the flat ready end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So because of RERA Act, now he has to pay me 2 lakh per month until he gives me my possession. It is unheard of.
Right.
So now he has a pressure to deliver the flats earlier. Means imagine how much a comfort a person will have.
Right.
In the past, you would pay the money and you would not even sure whether you will get the possession of your flat.
Right.
Now the builder is coming to your house and say, please take the money. I can't deliver your flat. So I'm giving you monthly 2 lakh rupees per month.
Right.
So these small changes in lives of people is a big thing.
The common man is benefiting.
Is benefiting.
One of the things that being talked about Mr. Modi is that businesses have stopped. People are not getting money. But remember one thing, businesses have not stopped. Businesses have become accountable, have been made accountable. The example Dr. Bhayani gave just now is that RERA introduced a responsibility and accountability on the real estate builder. Otherwise, we all know that the real estate developer would take your money, put it in some other project, then he will take some money, put it into another project, and there was a consistent flaw in the process, that you were always unsure whether you will get your flat, and we know the scandals that have happened. The important part here is that whenever there is a change happening, when somebody brings about, makes a determination, वो कहते हैं ना कमर बांध के, कफन चढ़ा के, उतर गए हैं बाजार में, then it becomes a different ball game, and that's the aspiration that Mr. Modi has brought in the governance policy of the country. Stay with us, we'll take a short break. When we come back, then we'll talk about the opposition, what they say, and what is their plank to defeat Mr. Modi in the upcoming elections. Welcome back. Let's dwell upon, in all fairness, on what the opposition wants. And when I say opposition, I'm saying those who are trying to unseat Prime Minister Modi and his party and his allies, the NDA. Now, the question here is that the opposition has absolutely no plan that I have come across so far, because they have nothing else to offer, because most of their offerings are known to people. Their offerings have already passed the expiration date, as a result of which all they are doing is attack Modi, attack Modis, to the extent that they have resorted to vulgar choice of words, and that offends me, and that must offend every conscientious person when you call somebody by an evil name. So, Dr. Bhayani earlier mentioned that there was so much corruption during the previous administrations that people had lost morale. Hum sab chor hain. This is the reason why Rahul Gandhi brought about Chaukidar Chor Hai, as if Sonia Gandhi saying that he was a maut ka saudagar, and all the epithets that have been hurled at him. This is the problem. Rahul Gandhi is talking about a culture that has really hurt the country. He's talking about basic minimum program, basic minimum salary. Now remember one thing, this is the process in which people become dependent on government. They lose their morals because पैसे तो मिल रहे हैं थोड़े, खाना मिल गया, क्या करें? Why work? Whereas Mr. Modi is talking about work, earn, grow. Whereas the opposition plan is nothing else but Mahagathbandhan to defeat. They have had a pre-poll arrangement, but nobody talks about what is going to happen post-poll. Now that's a very critical and cruel thing to do, because people of India are fully aware whenever this Gathbandhan thing have happened, it has not worked, it has brought about instability, and there is no plan because everybody is struggling with one or the other. Look at the case of Kejriwal in Delhi. He is dying for alliance with Congress, and Congress doesn't want an alliance. Look at Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati have formed a team, they don't want Congress there. What's going on? I mean, are people of India not aware or not cognizant of this fact that these Mahagathbandhans don't work at all? Your thought on that?
This Mahagathbandhan will not work, absolutely not work, for a simple reason. It's meant or it's designed for the self-propaganda and designed for the benefit of these leaders, and is not designed for the benefits of Indian citizens. And they don't have any agenda, they don't have any manifesto which they can show that their vision of India or how they can take India from now where it is to somewhere in future. They don't talk about it. They do not have that vision, agenda, plan, capability. They have nothing. They have only one point agenda, how to stop Modi by creating false accusation of corruption, where this when Rahul Gandhi says Chaukidar chor hai, so now that has gone nowhere, because every, including Supreme Court, the media has proven, French government has proven that we have not got any kickbacks or anything for the Rafale deal.
Rafale deal, yeah.
Now there is a big momentum on 31st of March where everybody aligned with Modi is going to say, I am also Chaukidar, as you heard about this momentum going. Right. So that's going to be actually used as a propaganda to support Modi, that every one of us is also Chaukidar, and if Modi is chor, then we are also chor. Obviously, he cannot say that anymore. So I think that's a brilliant election strategy.
It boomerang completely.
It's going to boomerang this Chaukidar thing. The second issue was the Rahul Gandhi himself. See, if we say we don't want Modi for theoretical purpose, then you got to have some option, alternative. Then who do we want? And unfortunately, there is absolutely nobody of capability as a leadership quality at all anywhere of these names you just mentioned. Take Chandrababu Naidu or Mamata Banerjee or Lallu Prasad or Kejriwal, or of course Rahul or his sister. They don't have any capability to show they are effective leader. Their thing is appeasement of minorities and divide the Hindus, and that formula they've been using. So it is very, very important message for everybody that don't fall into that trap which they've been using over last 70 years. They keep dividing the Hindus and keep appeasing the minorities. Minorities vote en bloc for Congress, and Hindus, they don't stay united. They get fooled. They think there's sort of secular agenda, and they get misled, and they divide among themselves and vote for Congress. And this is how they've been able to win.
And that still is the strategy.
This still is their strategy.
Yeah, I mean,
so we need to be extremely aware and extremely cautious and have some good plan to counter that.
Right.
And unless we do that, then they won't be able to succeed in their plan, because one of the biggest factor, of course, has happened is Modi's decisiveness of dealing with the terrorist attack.
Right.
And that has shown the true leadership quality, the decisiveness of Modi ji, and dealing with Pakistan with a firm hand. All these factors have completely, I would say, bulldozed opposition.
Right. I totally agree with you on that, because we were going to talk about opposition.
Right.
And this is what emerges, because this is the natural explanation to the story, that those people who are trying to unseat Mr. Modi are raking up issues which don't exist. Now think about it for a moment. Manishankar Iyer and Salman Khurshid, two veterans of Congress Party.
And Sidhu.
And Sidhu. Sidhu is the latest one.
Yeah.
But these two gentlemen of Congress Party went to Pakistan in 2015. And there, it's on video and everywhere, where Manishankar Iyer has told them, हमें उनको हराइए फिर हमारी बात होगी. So he sought help from Pakistan, and here is a very disturbing data about that. Since 2015 till Pulwama, there have been 15 attacks on India from across the border. That doesn't get handled. The question here is, Mr. Modi has created an atmosphere. Look at, people criticize him कि वो NRI हो गए हैं, वो बाहर ही रहते हैं. But look at the momentum that he created, the image of India across the world, that terrorism, we are now getting support from other countries. So when Hafiz Saeed, or not Hafiz Saeed, Maulana Masood Azhar, when China, for all its nefarious reasons, China is blocking the declaration of that man as a terrorist. France took a decision to block his assets. And the United Nations have said that China is playing a dirty game. So these are the words coming out from world leaders. This would not have happened if Modi had stayed home and he had not gone to propagate the real issues that are there. Terrorism, if it has no religion, that's great. But terrorism has to be stopped. If you don't want to equate it with a religion, that's okay.
But
then you have to address that part of it in a convincing and a strong manner. Fulwana was one decisive thing. Now, here was a very interesting video came out in which Rahul Gandhi talked about that we had also done 3 surgical strikes. The military people said no such thing happened. On the contrary, they said that when we went to with the proposal to attack Pakistan after 26/11 or parliamentary attack, the Congress government said no. They did not give the okay for that. So Pakistan is still asking for evidence. Now, Pakistan doesn't know what to do because for once there is a strong man who has told them the seat that where they belong.
That's right. See, what has happened after Pulwama attack is 2 things have happened. One thing is Indian government for the first time, of course the second surgical strike, but in this government has shown willingness to, what do you call this, ghar mein ghuske marenge. That has become the norm now. So this is a major shift of Indian government dealing with Pakistan, and people have to take it as its face value that this is completely dramatic shift of approach of Indian government dealing with Pakistan. That's one shift. And second shift is every country, as you just mentioned. China also vetoed this guy to be terrorist, but China did protest terrorist attack.
Correct.
So every country in the world stood by India and protested and told when our pilot was captured, everybody was calling Pakistan, release him unconditionally within 24 hours. And Pakistan had to yield. Of course, there are reports.
I would say Pakistan didn't yield; they had to obey.
Yeah, they had to do whatever, as you said, because as you are aware, Modi had to rescue this pilot. If there were reports from the army, which is undisclosed, that there are entire squadron of air flight was ready to go on bomb.
Right.
And Americans were aware of that, and to avoid that, Saudi prince and Americans, they are the 2 instrumental people, as you are aware from the media, which we know, that they told the Prime Minister of Pakistan, release right away, without questions, unconditionally. He has faced a lot of heat in the country because of that they wanted to ask certain other terrorists to be exchanged in that return and all that stuff. But it was total unconditional release. And so this would not have happened if the leadership of Modi ji, which is an exemplary leadership of Modi ji, has shown how to deal with these kind of issues in a most decisive manner, and that's the quality of true leader.
Of course.
And I don't think until now, not a single leader of India have shown that, except I would say Shivaji Maharaj, to some extent Netaji Bose, of course, but he was kind of marginalized, obviously, as we know all the history. But the real, I would compare Modi ji to Shivaji Maharaj, to be honest with you. I'm from Bombay, so
You know the history.
Yeah, Shivaji was the only who stood in front of these all the attacks, and again the same thing happened. If I'm changing a little bit deviation from the subject, if all other Hindu kings from Punjab and from South and would have joined Shivaji, India would have been a different country right now. He was fighting all alone again.
You have raised, you drifted.
Yeah, slightly drift.
No, but that's the important.
That's the message still.
I was going to talk to you about that in the next segment, but it's important diversion.
We'll keep it.
For the simple reason that India has never been united. That has been the bane of our country. So think about it like this. Ever since Khilji came in the country, we were the most prosperous region in the world, with 29% of the world trade, and that too without English. So think about it like this. All the invasions that happened in India, or the British coming, they didn't come for tourism or sightseeing. They came to loot the country. And when they came here for trade and commerce, they found that we were very enlightened souls. We were very independent. Ekla chalo re, as in Bengali mein kehte hain, we will go alone. So when they began to exploit the basic human weakness of power and exploiting the economic structure, we yielded. And that's what my anger with us Indians is all about, us Hindus is all about, is that हमने ये होने कैसे दिया? Where was our intelligence, knowledge and wisdom? That enemy was abusing us and we let it happen. That is because unity was missing. And remember one thing, पंचतंत्र की कहानी में ये कहते हैं ना, unity is strength. You remember the story of the stick. You bundle up the stick and you can't crack it, but you take out one stick and you can break it. We Indians learned the story of unity, but from Panchatantra, but did not apply it. That's what Mr. Modi is doing now. His 10% introducing the concept of reservation for economically poor people, even amongst upper caste people, is recognition of the fact that poverty has no religion, has no caste. It is an evil. And anybody who is poor needs help. So introducing that part has brought about an awareness in the system that yes, poverty can be tackled provided we treat everybody equally, not only one segment or the other. So that's very important. And these are the decisions which you would never have expected. I did not expect, although I have talked about the economic criterion. It has been a conversation for a long time that the economic criterion, poverty criterion must be the basis of protection or reservation or help. And that's what has come back in. So you are absolutely right. Hindus have to unite. There is no other option. If we do not unite now, when will we do that? That's a very important part to talk about. Now this brings us to the second element of the conversation is that since the Mahagathbandhan has no economic or political agenda, or I won't say agenda, manifesto as such. Look at what is happening in West Bengal. They are fomenting religious tensions all over. And that is the way these people want to attack Modi, call him by names. They are following the Hitler's Goebbels, Himmler, I forget the name, but Hitler's methodology of telling a lie 1,000 times so that people begin to kahin na kahin to daag to reh jayega usme. Sometimes somebody will have a doubt. How does Mr. Modi counter that continuous barrage of attacks on his policies, or the so-called Hindutva part of it, is that he is pro-Hindu and not. But he is not for any party. He has declared it, that Constitution is his gospel truth, and that's where and Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is the agenda.
Yes. So as you rightly said, Hindus have to unite. Means I would say even beyond that slightly, if we can do this, that all Indians have to unite.
Right.
And not worry about that, okay, this Congress government is a little bit of pro-Muslim policies, that's why we should support. And in South, as you know, in certain states, certain minorities, Christian minorities and all other minorities are appeased a lot more than Hindus. And so Hindus, because they are never united, and all these minorities vote en bloc, so it creates a lot of problems. So that's the problem. So Indians, please focus on only one thing, which is economic progress of your own and economic progress of the country. If that happens, you don't have to worry about your religion. Religion should be like in USA. Practice in your house, practice in your community, but don't bring it to the political stage. Politics and religion has to stay separate.
Right.
And as you see, it's changing. It will change. The people have, because of the social media and more literacy in India, the factor of this en bloc voting in the rural areas is going down. So the other problem, as you just mentioned, the media of India. Media in India has become a big, to some extent, menace. They kind of highlight only issues which affect minorities. When there is an attack on Hindu girl by some minority element, it doesn't get exposed. But anything happens on minority, even Times of India and Hindu and all these things. So Modi government has kind of have not focused on that aspect, that they need a media either neutral or pro-BJP. If you can't bring neutral, then you need some pro-BJP media.
Right.
And there that's where you're failing. So I don't want to blame Arun Jaitley when he was Minister of Information Technology, the Doordarshan, and using the government machinery to increase the propaganda, but real propaganda which is showing the real work of government, showing the people. There they have slightly failed, and the only way to counter negative propaganda is by showing the population what we have done so far and how we're doing better than anybody else before.
And for that particular part of it, spreading the word is critical for Prime Minister and his NDA alliance.
Right.
For that, it will be absolutely essential for Mr. Amit Shah and Prime Minister Modi ji to create a cadre of spokespeople, because the two of you alone cannot answer the barrage of false attacks by 20 different Hydra-headed opposition.
Right.
So you have to create. Now you know, important part is you know what they are saying. So if BJP ends up training good spokespeople who will counter the attacks of 29 different people, then Modi ji and Amit Shah can be free to take into account the plans, the progress, and also attack.
Correct.
We will get back with another round of very exciting conversation right after this short break. Welcome back. We ended our previous segment about talking about the media and how for Mr. Modi and his team to deal with the media challenge. Now, what has happened here is the world right now is India has had a democratic socialism. The world is now talking about democratic socialism. But the path to success is not in socialism, unfortunately. We in India know that when government becomes the MyBaap, then initiative, leadership, innovation, they all die. Because now you're waiting for the government to say so. Mr. Modi is, I would say, in my opinion, he is slightly right of center. He is not wedded to the left philosophy of everything free for the people. He is propagating and talking about accountability. Now, media was totally spoiled under the previous regimes. I mean, think about it, that one of the famous NDTV correspondent used to play a role in appointments and seat sharing in the government, famously known as the Radia tape case. The question here is, how does Mr. Modi deal with the media part of it? You had indicated, Dr. Bhayani, that either you create somebody to talk about your achievements or impose certain discipline that you can't tell a lie. And that is important. It is so very important because lies have a tendency, repeated multiple times, people begin to have a doubt. And that's what the opposition game plan is all about, is to create a doubt. So, if Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati begin their campaign from Devbandi village, which is the biggest shrine of Muslims, that is okay. But if Adityanath ji campaigns from a particular temple, that means it will become Hindutva issue. These are the kind of fallacies that have to be exposed. The people of India must realize that Mahagathbandhan is a curse, and we have succeeded in eliminating that curse with NDA being in rule, and that needs to be taken forward.
Yes, you are absolutely right. What needs to happen is, as you know, there are about 500 news channels, or what do you call those, in India. And what we need is, I would say, approximately 500 people trained like a soldiers in media by BJP party. So what happens, every state level, the district level, or the national level, whenever there is attack, that person who is really trained in counteracting these attacks has to be there and immediately gives his statement, and he gives right away, because there is no The media is in India is minute by minute. Everything is a breaking news for them. And so if we wait for somebody from center to give response, by then a lot of time is lapsed. And that response becomes ineffective just because delayed response is pretty much no response. And people will forget the issue already, and by then you come and give response, it is ineffective. So if the Rambaum Margi Institute, which is one of the very premier institute by BJP and RSS in Bombay, and Sri Vinay Sahasrabudheji is in charge of that, who is the ICCR in charge and very dear friend of mine. So there they do what is called as leadership training. I think I have suggested him, but I'm going to emphasize more. What they need to do is also train how to deal with media, how to go on TV, how to counter the attacks. They need to train 500 to 1,000 soldiers. BJP has a lot of devoted intellectual people, and we need to take advantage of each one of them who is there to counter these attacks and create a machinery which is, even if they call this what they call as Goebbels propaganda machinery by Hitler. So what Goebbelsism they used to call.
Yeah.
So we don't mind having that, only because if we don't, the false propaganda persist and prevail. Just to counter those false propaganda, we need people who are trained and who can attack. At the same time, it's not only countering, it's also educating people what this government has done so far, what are the achievements of this government. As we just talked earlier, there are 3-4 criticisms. Unemployment is still a little high, and Modi ji had not given those 15 lakh rupees in each account. That's very stupid argument there. And the unemployment has to get better. It is getting better. At the same time, we can do a lot more on that. And I think that is why we need to bring Modi back to finish or to make him achieve his goal, what he has promised in 2014. Because India is one of the largest country in the world. To move Indian population mindset from A to B is a phenomenal hard work. It's like you're pulling the train with your bullock cart. And imagine how you can pull that train with bullock cart. So essentially now the engines are set in. The train is slowly but definitely has left the station. It has not picked up the speed that we want, but we know for sure the train has left the station.
And the tracks are laid.
And tracks are laid.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So unless we let this train run at its full speed, we will not see the achievements of Modi ji's vision, leadership and governance. And his approach is so comprehensive. There is not a single field of politics or the development or the security he has not touched. Take any field, the petroleum prices are down, the corruption is down.
Oh, that I must add there that this is where the media played
Exactly.
the petrol price hike and the exchange rate that went berserk for a while,
Right.
which was a manipulated one.
Right.
But media made it as if it was the ultimate crisis in India, the price of petrol went up. But when you went into the deep analysis of it,
It was still cheaper than
it was still
Manmohan
cheaper
Singh.
than many places, and
No,
the
Manmohan
media
Singh
says
regime.
nothing.
Yeah.
And media talks nothing when both the items have stabilized.
Yeah.
That's where the thing happens, and that's where I want to come back to, is that you talked about the BJP cadre to be built and developed to contest that arguments, the Goebbels lies that opposition indulges in, is to understand the Mool Mantra. And the Mool Mantra is to recognize deep down that when your enemy is trying to strangulate you and destroy you, at that time being considerate, offering them champagne and a bouquet of flowers of friendship, it will not work. When it comes to that, you have to hit back. And therefore, this Mool Mantra has to be installed in the minds of BJP spokespeople, that just because I have a mic in front of me, I can't say whatever comes in my mouth. But what comes in your mouth comes from your mouth is a studied response to the lies that are being hurled at you, because politics is a dirty game. And as they say, everything is fair in love and war. It is a war. Opposition knows, Mahagathbandhan knows that if they fail this time, Modi will have not only another 5 years, but more than 5 perhaps. Who knows? And that will do the country immense good to turn around the evil that beset the country. We have 2 minutes now, Dr. Bhayani. So if Prime Minister Modi were to ask you one thing that he must do, what would you suggest to him?
Modi ji, we have to continue the same work. At the same time, we have to work on unemployment. The youth of this country need to feel the future is bright, and they have tremendous hope in you that you are the only one who is going to do this. We have no doubt you will do it, but please, in next 5 years, once you come back, I have no doubt you will come back. Focus on unemployment and economic progress. Once you deliver that, I think all these Deshdrohis who are going to Pakistan, all these Congress politicians who are going to Pakistan and asking the help, people will automatically reject them. They will not listen them. They will lose their credibility. They already have lost their credibility. So please continue your development agenda and focus on unemployment and uniting India. Thank you.
That's a wonderful message for Prime Minister Mr. Modi, and somebody who knows him, and hopefully this message will reach to him. As we conclude today's program, I just wanted to add here that whatever you want to do, choose the path. The path is clear. People have accepted that path. Do not let anything distract you. And one of the things which I bring from sports analogy is
15 seconds only.
Never take opposition for granted.
Yes.
They have evil intent, and I'm very bold about that.
Just
have a great weekend.
15
you wanted
seconds.
to say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody who's here, please, you have responsibility also to help India. So whatever you can do back home, call your friends, families, or go there, work for election. You go whatever way you can do, donate some money or create some social media messages, send to India that support Modi. It's very important. It's crucial for the country. Thank you.
And with these words, thank you, Dr. Bhayani. It was wonderful to have you today.
Thank you.
And we really had a good conversation about how Modi can come to power back again, and why he is required is for the good of the country. Have a wonderful weekend. We will talk about another explosive issue in our next edition. Thank you.